Check out this episode of the Patch Notes from the Pre-Patch Podcast.
Square Enix is,
Very
this is
true.
not this is not reported. This is not saying that they are going to be bought, but we on this show have rumored for a long time that Square Enix is like tugging at Daddy Sony's pockets, going, hey, Dad, pay attention to me.
Upbees.
They are going and saying, hey, buy us. I think that if Sony buys, if Microsoft buys Gearbox, Sony buys Square Enix. I think that's where my mind would go.
I think
I
it should
mean,
be the flip flop. Honestly, like I think that
There,
Do you think
Microsoft should
Square?
buy Square Enix, and then Sony should
Square's
buy
pretty big, though.
Gearbox.
I think
Square's big,
don't-
but it's no bigger
Why-
than Gearbox in my opinion. Like they have basically the same amount of IPs.
Go ahead, Bill. I think I know what Bill's about it. Bill, before you say, let me.
Bill's like, I just want
hold on a
none
sec.
of them to do it.
Let me mind read real quick and just see if I'm accurate. So hold on one sec. Bill is gonna say, I don't even know why we're even talking about buyouts. They should just be their own fucking thing. Am I close?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of even more consolidation. It all of it frustrates me to no end. Like, we should not be excited or like wishing one way or the other for consolidation of these game companies.
I'm not wishing for it. I'm just speculate. I'm reading the playing
I
field.
get
Right?
it.
I think
It's
the
just-
sad
it's
thing.
disappointing.
I think the sad thing, and to go off your point, is that it's companies are not looking at how do we financially do better, right, or project better. Like this is like Square Enix is saying it's in serious trouble following Final Fantasy 16 launch. From what I understood, Final Fantasy 16 had a great launch. Like, did it not have a good launch?
So
Yeah,
it launched.
Really didn't have a great one.
It did, and it had a really good starting month. Its sales have declined since then.
Yeah.
They're marking it up mainly due to lack of PS5s out in the market because on a percent base, it's actually doing decently for the amount of PS5s that are out in circulation. The problem is it's Final Fantasy 16 was trying to bail them out from two prior failures of the company, one of them being Forspoken.
So this is saying that it's struggling it may struggle to recoup the $2 billion that it cost to make it. That's
lost since Final Fantasy 16's launch.
Okay. I don't know. Wow, that's okay. I mean, the bigger
if you keep
thing
scrolling down there, I think that article mentions like the prior titles that have drug it down, and the fact that Final Fantasy 16 was trying to build back some of that, and they are planning to do the expansions for it, so it must not have sold horribly if they're going to continue to put dollars into the game.
I think that's I don't know if
expansions isn't really a thing that you factor in, because I guarantee you those expansions have been done for months.
Well, Yoshi P said before they announced anything, like shortly after Final Fantasy 16 launched, that they had no intent on putting DLC into this game until they saw how the game sold, and after that first month of sales, they were greenlit to start work on expansions.
So here's
I almost sorry to interrupt you. I almost feel like that's like a that's like kind of a this is me being blasphemous to Yoshi P in some
you're
ways.
mad at
I'm
him
sorry.
right now anyway.
I'm sorry, Yoshi P. I apologize, but yeah, I'm almost wondering if that's like a sales tactic in some instances. Like, hey, if sales on Final Fantasy 16 don't do too well, we're not going to do DLCs, so make sure you get out there and buy it. You know, like that's my opinion on it.
This is not the 16.
Well, it wasn't. I don't think so, man, because he didn't make that announcement until after they had already been greenlit. Like, he made the announcement saying that we had not intended to do DLC until we saw the sales goals, and luckily for you guys, the sales goals have been met. We've been greenlit. Like, there was no marketing aspect to it. It was a cut and dry. This wasn't a thing. Now it is a thing. Thank you guys for supporting the game.
That does kind of dispel that then.
No, not kind of, but not really. Like, that's fine. It dispels the idea of like, okay, we didn't, you didn't get enough sales for the thing, but like, it still doesn't dissuade it from being like, hey, we still want more sales. Like,
Well,
You see what I'm saying?
But there's no incentive at that point for like people to buy it if they want.
There's a huge
DLC,
incentive. It's money. It's money for the company.
For the people to want to buy the game because the DLC was already greenlit, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's what he came out to say. Unless you're saying that him saying this is going to get more sales, like implying that DLCs are linked to purchases and more sales mean more DLC. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't remember.
Back to the article though, right? Marvel's Avengers. That game was so shitty, I completely forgot it existed. That was the other one that has cost Square a significant amount of money.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So Final Fantasy 16 was trying to recoup some of those losses, and it did not do so, even though it sold well considering the amount of PS5s in the market.
So
I would like to see how many it's sold right now, because it sold 3 million in its like launch.
Isn't PS5 like don't they have the most consoles out there in comparison to all the consoles
besides Switch?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Switch. That's an entirely.
I mean, compared to Xbox, yes, but up until recently, nobody had a reason to buy an Xbox.
Let my man speak.
I mean, it's okay. I don't mind. I speak a lot on this show. It's quite okay. I was just gonna say that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Asshole.
I try. Go.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, go.
I can mute you.
I'm literally telling you to speak.
He just wants you to know.
Oh my god.
What I was saying at the very beginning, and then we got off kind of on this, is that what I think to further your point, Bill, as to where this is sad, is that it's not, companies are not, in my mind, and let's use Square, right? Because this is who we're talking about. Square, in my mind, did not set out to say, I think they set out to try to make a game, like they try to make a good game. They want to make money. Like they're a company, they want to make money. But instead of, I think, taking the route of going, hey, let's, make sure that Marvel Avengers is fucking on point. Let's make sure that Forspoken is on point. They go and say, well, let's just make sure that Forspoken can make up for the flop that Avengers was. Let's just make sure that Final Fantasy can make up for the flop of now Forspoken and Avengers. It's like, and then they're gonna like, you know what? Now because we didn't do all this, you know what? Let's look at maybe getting bought out. That's the answer, right? Maybe that's the answer we can do to get in this situation. Not saying that Square Enix is in fact, looking for a buyout, but we think that Square Enix is looking for a buyout. And what ticks me off too is that within 16, like this just shows that like you legitimately killed off, in this podcast at least, 2 people that would have bought the game, because I don't own a PS5. I'm not going to go buy a PS5. Like this isn't 2001 anymore. This isn't 2015. Like guys, if you are in the space, I literally did not go out and buy a PlayStation 5 because your games come to other console or come to PC. Consoles are not market leaders. Consoles are not profit leaders. They don't make money. So stop thinking about these things as like, how do I sell more consoles? You should be saying, hey, how do I sell games that people are going to want to play? And I'm going to put those games out on everywhere. Like if Square Enix wanted to make this game successful and they really needed to hit that nut, then my question is why the fuck did you lock it down to one platform? Like you locked it down to one platform, alienating all other platforms until we get a PC port, right? Like that's fucked up. Like bring it to PC, right?
Like, what I've been saying for years.
It's get away from like locking things into a proprietary state, right? Like same thing with Spider-Man, all these other kind of things.
Same thing with Starfield. Like honestly, Starfield should have been.
Same thing. Starfield should be completely across all platforms. All of these games should be across.
Spider-Man is Sony owned. Like straight up.
But Sony could still go, instead of saying, "Hey, we're going to launch it." Go to PC, man. Yeah. Like for fuck's sake, Square.
They're already porting the old ones.
You launched Marvel. You knew Marvel. Like you had Crystal Dynamics, like sitting there. You just failed them, man. Like you failed them to continuously keep pushing them. We knew what Marvel Avengers wanted to be, and they fucking dropped the ball on it, right? Forspoken. It had its rough, like there's a little bit more history in a Forspoken than what, to say that they just completely dropped the ball. But really, Square, you're the fucking, like, you're the publisher, you're the daddy company, you're the one that's back there.
Yeah.
Like, fucking man, step up. Like
They didn't hold the leash tight enough on
yeah,
that one.
own your shit. Like, you know, it's sad. It's because Embracer Group, you know, you look at Gearbox, all of them, like this entire show has been nothing but literally companies just taking the easier way out, except for the indie games, and fucking knocking it out of the goddamn park. Like, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
Thank you for sticking around to the end of the patch notes. And if you want to see more of the pre-patch podcast content, don't forget to check us out live every Thursday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Or you can check us out at anchor.fm/prepatch podcasts or on any site that podcasts are listened to. Much love.